This week on Got Clutter, Get Organized is all about discovering are you an overachiever and how you can just kind of pull back and just add a little relaxation in your life. I'm excited because returning guest Naketa Thigpen, she'll be returning. She is a balance and a relationship advisor. So get ready for some strategies to help you have a little bit more balance in your life. Hello and welcome to Got Clutter, Get Organized, a conversation. I am so excited because I have a friend. She's been on this podcast before, Naketa Thigpen, and I am just so excited to talk about the Overachiever. And she's got a show, the Overachiever Show. That means it's a lazy overachiever show. That's the correct saying. Because when I saw that, it's just something like, you know what? I need to talk to Naketa. So we need to have a conversation about this. So, Naketa, thank you so much for joining me again.
No, Janet, you know I'm always privileged to be in your company. So thank you for inviting me.
So, my first question before we really get into the conversation, what made you decide to start the Lazy Overachiever Show?
Like many things, I had quite a few clients and a few like power partners, which are well above friend and referral partner, right? Like they kind of live in both places, scream at me with love that this was something that I needed to stop saying behind the scenes because it was our like love language with each other. I have embraced the fact that I'm the lazy overachiever probably a decade ago. Well, maybe that's not fair. It's only 2025 at the time of this recording. So I'm going to say about 7 years ago,
Okay.
once my youngest was, moving through high school and all of that, I felt safe enough to be honest with myself around, yeah, I do a lot. I'm a hashtag do too much person in many elements of my life, which everyone around me benefits from. But I also enjoy rest. I enjoy naps. I like having moments when I just stare up at the ceiling and wiggle my toes and I'm not necessarily doing anything else. And there was a younger, in my 20s and my 30s version of me that would have felt guilty about not being productive during that time, even if it was, I'm sure you'll appreciate it, pretend productivity when you're supposed to be working on this, but instead you decide to go do laundry or you decide to go move the living room into the dining room and you just reshaping your world because you don't want to, for whatever reason, focus on the thing that needs to be done, but you can't not do anything. So I call it pretend productivity. And I just got tired of pretending, to be quite honest.
So, how do we become that overachiever? Is it something that starts in childhood, or is it once we get into maybe that corporate setting? I'm like, what? When does it happen? Because when
What's the
I
setup?
what's the setup? Because I mean, when you started talking about, yeah, you want to do, you need to do this, but then all of a sudden you're doing something else. I mean, don't
Hmm.
let me get up early in the morning because the next thing you know, I don't even, reorganize the closet, done
Yes.
something in the kitchen, done something else. When I'm
Mhm.
like, Janet, you need that energy for this.
Exactly. I think the overachieving part is in your DNA. And by dictionary standards, overachiever is seen as negative. It is literally you are doing too much because you're trying to prove to someone other, usually other than yourself, that you matter, that you're valuable, that you're all the things. So it has a very negative connotation. But you know me well enough to know that I will take a word and redefine it in a minute, right? Just the way I did intentionally selfish. Like, oh no, we are claiming that because that's our spaciousness to create joy our way versus it being about being in your ego and, being self absorbed and all of that. With Overachiever, I looked at how many things I was able to get accomplished, completed, finished, milestone markers that my younger self wouldn't have dreamed me to be able to do. And I did it not just because I'm ambitious, but I did it overachieving. I had already hit my ambitious markers. I overdid it. So I looked at it and was like, well, this isn't a bad thing because you overgave to yourself. It's only a challenge when you're overgiving and overextending and being in overwhelm literally for other people because of that original definition of feeling like you need to prove yourself or be accepted in some way. Now, if that's what's happening and you're living to the Webster's dictionary, which hashtag hilariousness, Webster is my maiden name, so that's really funny. which is why I think I can redefine whatever I want. But when you are like leaning into that, then do some evaluation on why you feel the need to prove to sometimes people who have been dead and gone and buried, and they told you one day you would never do this, or you felt like you need to prove it somehow, or that coach or that trainer that told you were too fat, too skinny, too slow, too fast, whatever the case was, that, you need to do some wound healing work around that. And that's okay. That's not a judgment. That's just an observation of someone who's listening to this, their reality. Because at one time that was mine. That was my
Mhm.
reality too. I was people pleasing and overextending and being a perfectionist because I felt like that would give me the pat on the back. Once you do the work and you remove that, if you're still over, but you're doing the over for the benefit of you and the relationships that matter the most to you, well, that's just a highlight to your DNA. Like, okay, ancestors, let's go. Like, I'm so grateful I have it.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
lazy part takes a little bit more work because, especially in the Black community,
Yeah. Yeah.
you call someone that is Black, Brown, Caribbean, or Indigenous lazy, it's just like saying your mother. Like you're about to have a different level of energy brought back
Mhm.
to you.
Mhm.
So I know
Mhm.
that one is a harder kind of term to swallow, even with pairing it in a tongue in cheek way. With clearly you can't be a traditionally lazy person and an overachiever. They just
Mhm.
don't go together. It's a juxtaposition.
Mhm.
But if you pair it together, embracing it in the spirit of love, which it was generated, and saying, you know what, I rebel against the rush. I
Mhm.
refuse to be a participant anymore, even if I was yesterday, in hustle culture. Because why? It doesn't serve me. The same way the former definition of overachieving did not serve me. It was for other people. Those expired expectations of my younger self or of my
Mhm.
great grandmother, of whoever. But now the lazy for me is like, yes, I'm having a lazy day or a lazy hour or a lazy 2 minutes and blow some bubbles, or even tea with my girl. We're just going to
Mhm.
have a moment because we're actually not talking about work and we're not talking about kids and families and dogs and frogs. We're just enjoying each other's company. And somewhere
Mhm.
somebody would say that's unproductive and that's lazy. I'm embracing it. So I think to answer your question, it's how you choose to shift your perspective around, especially that front loaded term, lazy, pairing it with overachiever. You get to, I gotta take my pens out my cup because you appreciate my organization. Everything has a space to live in here. My husband did this for me to show
Oh.
the meter. Like, are you
Mhm.
heavy on the overachieve, or are you balancing it a little bit with embracing a little bit of your lazy? And one of the ways I think we can do that is trusting our inner brilliance more, trusting that we have the answers, trusting that we have everything that we need inside of us. We just may need to pay an advisor, a consultant, a strategist, a coach, a therapist, depending, or all of the above if you special like this one. We might have to hire someone to help extract it out of us,
Mhm.
but it's already
Mhm.
there.
Mhm. And there's a couple of things that when you said it, I started thinking back to my mother because when you said the
Mm-hmm.
DNA, I saw her.
Mm-hmm.
Saturdays were like, okay, she would get up, probably
Mm-hmm.
clean, do laundry, do cooking, go to the grocery store, and of course go to the 5 and 10 of Woolworths. I know a lot of people probably don't even know what that is,
I
but
too. Philly
I know you.
girl.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So she would do all that like on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So I saw that. So then I started doing all of that stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
like you, Nikita, I began to lean to the other side, give myself some balance, because
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget someone wanted me to be the president of a board.
Okay.
And at the time, I said, it's about me. And also, I want to make space because I want to date because I'm single.
Yeah, I
I
know
want to
that's
cook
right.
because, I know what those responsibilities are. I'm going to be here, there, and everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
I know what it meant to be the board chair of the. And they looked at me like, nope, that's what I that's what I want. And
How dare
also,
you say no?
yeah, it's
How
like
dare
no,
you say no?
it's about me. It's
Mm-hmm.
about me. And
Mm-hmm.
like you, I love my what is it? Do nothing Saturdays or do nothing Sundays.
Mm-hmm. 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 Listen, you know me, so and the listeners are getting to know me, but I call my Saturdays selfish Saturdays, especially when
Oh,
I'm in that vibe, which is,
yeah, yeah,
all the things. Time, it's literally my Sabbath. It's time for me to reflect, to listen, to pray, to meditate, to hear where I have some flaws that I might need to fold in versus fix, what's going on, and to just chill in whichever way that happens, which for me nowadays as a sandwich generation, chilling might be going to the nursing home or stopping by a
yeah,
hospital, or
yeah.
it
Mm-hmm.
might be
Mm-hmm.
layered,
Mm-hmm.
but bringing that loving energy, because I'm intentionally selfish and I fill myself up, I have the overflow for the people
Mm-hmm.
who actually need me and want me, not just tolerate me. And those
Mm-hmm.
Sundays, I just call them soul Sundays, because I mean,
Mm.
really, you can't do nothing wrong on a Sunday if you are listening to yourself,
That's
period.
true. That
Hmm.
is so true. So, Nikita, how does someone even start the process? They know they're on that side where they're just, that overachiever, they're pleasing
Yeah.
everybody, they're doing everything, and they are just
Yeah.
burnt out, but they need to move towards so they can have some balance. So, how do they start?
I'm glad you used one of my favorite words. As a balance and relationship advisor, you ended that sentence with balance. And it's, I'm a nerd, a polymath, and everything has a formula or a mnemonic. The word balance, or the term work life balance, because I know not everybody uses that phrase, is literally a formula that's a fraction. It's T like Tom over B like boy. So, seeing it as an actual fraction, the T is for your truth. Admit the truth of what you really want. What is it that you want in this world? Do you want to be a librarian? Do you want to be a philanthropist? Do you want to be single and savvy and loving it and establish your impact? Whatever that is for you. Are you in your golden retirement years? Like, what is your truth? Not 2 seconds ago or 2 years ago, but right now, going forward, as you remember who you've always been, because that remembering process is a challenge, to really remember who you are at your core. Before you were stitched together in your mother's womb, there was a destiny for you. So, remembering that, and get in touch with that truth. And if you happen to say, in this example, well, you know what? I would love to work in the library, but I would also love my name or my family's name on a library that we have donated somewhere. Well, that means that there's a lot of things that you need to do differently in your life for you to both be in a calmer space, a focused space, to be a good librarian the way we used to have back in the day, but also to have the income and the equity and the investments to be able to donate such a thing as real estate in a building that actually has your name on it. So that B is your boundaries. Admit the truth of what you want and create the boundaries that will help you achieve that truth as your reality. And that means looking at life differently. You know what? I love my friends, no shade, none of it. But this is your fifth wedding that you've invited me to over the last 10, 12 years. And I'm trying to be the librarian who wants to, have the income and equity and all of that stuff to donate a library. I'm probably not going to be able to make it across the world to go to this additional ceremony. I went to the first, second, and probably the third and fourth. Now I'm gonna send you a beautiful gift, and I'm gonna say, homegirl, when you on this side of the East Coast or wherever we meet up in the world, let's do brunch. Because that 8 hour flight plus 6 hours for picking out a dress, another 2 hours for the gift, the event day itself, the post event day, and then the traveling back, that's a lot of time that I'm spending, not even pretend productivity, doing something that I'm expected to do, that I don't actually want to do, that will have me in a space of resentment if I'm honest about it, because of the time, money, resources, energy, all that I'm putting into it, when I really wanted to be talking to my friend Janet, who is actually connected to the so and so that could help me get this library position. So it's really admit the truth of what you want and then create those boundaries and literally live in them in a way that feels expansive, not suffocating. Your boundaries shouldn't be rigid where people feel like they can never call you, they're afraid to ask for help or support. They shouldn't be that tight, but they should be really clear where someone is like, yeah, don't call Naketa after 9 o'clock. She in bed. Unless it's an emergency. You better qualify that as an emergency, or you will do not disturb, and it'll go right there. And everyone, down to my young adult children, know, don't call mom after 9. It better be serious. Call dad for all the other stuff. And that's just what it's become. It didn't start that way. People were in what's the word, resistance to it. And I'm like, yeah, you're resistant because you're not benefiting from having access to me when I'm trying to create a boundary that allows me to have not only good self-care, but to love me deeper
Mhm.
and wholly. Because it's one of
Mhm.
me, period. You got 25 other people to call. There is one of me.
Wow, that was like a mic drop moment, Naketa. But
Mm-hmm.
it's the truth. It's
It's the
like,
truth.
somebody told me, they said, I told people that if it's really an emergency, you need to be calling the ambulance or the undertaker because I can't help you.
I
I
appreciate that.
can't. I can't. And sometimes you have to get that. Like when you're talking about boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so grateful for the people in my life. They know that most of the time, if you really want to talk to me, you text me, Janet, can you talk? And I'll
Yes.
let you know. Now, if I don't answer, because like I'm like you, 9 o'clock, my head and me and
Mm-hmm.
the pillow are just,
Y'all
one.
besties.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
your besties.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But during the day, during the week, if I'm available, I'll say, hey, I can call you after this time, or is
Yes.
everything okay?
Mm-hmm. That's
So,
how it should
yeah.
be. And honestly, I'm a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
I like my kids laugh at me all the time, but they have found it to be true over the last, my son is 28, he'll be 29. So at least the
Mm-hmm,
last 12 plus years that I've been saying it out
mm-hmm,
loud to them.
mm-hmm,
If something is really wrong because of the depth of our connection, both for my children and extended family, that we're really not just that fifth cousin, but the people that you really close to, my spirit will tell me, I need to check in with you. I need to
mm-hmm,
find out. And I trust it and I believe it. I call that my inner brilliance because it literally does shine a bright light. It's like, something ain't right. I knew when my daughter was pregnant. I knew when my son was about to have kids. Like, I knew it without any physical signs and symptoms. And I trust that God will always show me what I need to see. I may not have the
mm-hmm,
label for what's going wrong, like something is wrong.
mm-hmm,
I can't call it what it is. I don't know
mm-hmm,
that it's a car accident, but I
mm-hmm,
know something ain't right and I need to reach out.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And he does. He gives us that sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Nikita, with everything that you do, because you are, like you said, a balance and relationship advisor, podcaster, you have your show, you're an author, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a grandmother. How do you stay organized, or how do you balance? I mean, you've already shared with us about being,
Yeah.
selfish when it comes to your time, but what are some other things, like maybe one or two things?
Yeah, I definitely practice what I preach. My kids
Okay.
think no is my favorite word, but it's really boundaries. No is my second favorite word. That helps me
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
tremendously from a physical like organization perspective, especially around time, which is the biggest value add that you have. It's also the biggest thing that someone or someone's, including patterns, can extract for you. I'm a little old school. I love to write things down. I do move around. I travel internationally, all the things. So I do have to take what I wrote down, which is part of like my flushing process.
mm-hmm,
Janet invited me here. David invited me here. Someone so asked me to do this. I got to write up this template, whatever it is. I write it down in a traditional, I'm looking at my to-do list book, which isn't really a list. It's just kind of like my free thought. I write it
mm-hmm,
all down. After I filter it, then it goes into my calendar, like my actual
mm-hmm,
calendar. I have notifications set depending on what it is, a 50-minute, a 12-hour, a 3 day, whatever it is that I
mm-hmm,
need. And I am an overachiever. So for really specific things, like when we hang up, I need to call and schedule my updated mammogram. You know why I remember that? Not only is it on my calendar, not only do I remember writing it, 4+ months ago, when I got the letter to make sure put that on your calendar, but I have an alarm on my phone that also will go off in about 10 minutes that says, don't forget to call, because that's like an extra step for me that me and my special spice self knows that I need, because we can ignore desktop notifications and even phone ones, but I
that's true.
rarely ignore an alarm.
I love that. I love it. And I'm a paper person too. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I like to kind of let things just fall on pieces of paper. You just see my little thing here. I had just all these things that I need. You got to do this, that, and the other. I put it down, and then I finally organize. It's like, okay, you can do this Thursday. You can do
Yes.
this Friday. So I do understand. Well, Naketa, it is always a pleasure to talk to you and to see you. So please let people know how they can connect with you.
Oh, thank you. And I'm always grateful to be in your space. Like I said earlier, you're just joy. There's no other
Oh,
way to define you. If I had to pick one
you.
word, I would just say joy. Joy. Janet is joy. Go with that on a t-shirt. Janet is joy. I think figpro.com is our primary website, which for the most part, anything that's public facing will be there. If they want to engage and go deeper, I would say come follow me on Substack, which is my new place to play. And we have Fig Pro Quo. So I'll make sure that you have that for the show notes as well. But Fig Pro Quo on Substack.
All right. Well, you've heard that, listeners, as well as those of you watching. I will have all of Naketa's contact information on the show page so you can connect with her directly and really get some more insights on her and just how you can really have some balance moving forward. Well, Naketa, thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank you, Joyful Janet.
So, what was your takeaway from my conversation with Naketa? She dropped so many wonderful nuggets. And one of the things that really resonated with me is it's okay. It's okay to say no, but also it's okay to just take time for you because you need to replenish yourself so you can give and do all the things that you enjoy doing as well as you want to do. So, thank you so much for joining and, continue to have a clutter free day.